Hi there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF, and I am bringing you a super fun tutorial this week. I am using a mug cake. So this mug cake is from Betty Crocker. It is the double chocolate cake with fudge topping. There are 3 servings. It takes 1 minute. And it was only about $3 at Walmart. So these are going to be great for craft sales. I actually made one as the door prize at my last craft sale, and I had people coming up to the table asking if they could buy some. So I'm getting on it. I have a few boxes, and I wanted to share with you how I made this. So if you take a look at this, I used a piece of cake. Cake is the answer. Who cares what the question is? Count the good times, not the candles. I put some cakes. I've got my gorgeous cup from Cup of Christmas. Cup of Cheer. It's in here somewhere. Cup of Christmas. And I will show you that in a minute. I have a little cake in here that I'm going to show you how to make. We've got a spoon, enjoy, some stitched and scallop circles, and of course the cake mix. So I realized when I made this one that this is a little bit too much tone on tone because I've got early espresso and then my dark chocolate cake. Now the other thing I want to mention is I have seen a couple of demonstrators do this. This is not my idea. Dawn from Dawn's Stampin' Thoughts just did this a couple of weeks ago, and she had the most adorable wooden spoon in there. And I would have loved to have had a wooden spoon in here for you, but I could not find them. And I don't use a credit card, so I can't go on to Amazon and get them. But I thought I had found them locally, and it turns out they had sold out. So I tried a plastic spoon, but that came up to about here, and it was just, the scale was just all wrong. And I thought, you know what, I'm not providing you with the mug, so why would I provide the spoon? And to me, eating off a wooden spoon just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Blah. So this is actually my third take of this video. The measurements, well, one time it wasn't recording, it stopped. The second time the measurements just weren't working out, and it's a little bit shy. So I have made another sample and I've got it all figured out. This one I didn't do the same kind of technique, but you can still kind of tell it's supposed to be a cake. And I used the Spectacular Bash DSP and stamp set. So let's get our craft on. You could stand them on a shelf and it's like they could be books. Okay, so Cup of Christmas. If you haven't seen this stamp set, this bundle, it is amazing for a couple of reasons. One, it has amazing dies. That candy cane is just to die for, pardon the pun. But it's also the first time ever that Stampin' Up! Has done reversible stamps. So you can ink these up on this side, stamp them, clean them off, ink them up on these sides, and stamp them. And there are 2 dies so that you can stamp and die cut a left and a right handled mug. Phew! Now I went ahead and I did a couple of steps. Now this is my template, and I am thinking I may just scan this and put it on my website. I may decide I'm gonna do it in Photoshop, but we shall see. But you need 2 pieces of paper, whether that be cardstock or DSP. Now for the outside, you're definitely gonna want cardstock. But for that little band, for the little pouch, that's where your frosting goes, you can decide if you want to use cardstock or DSP. Both of them will hold up. So I had done a fantastic tutorial yesterday and then realized when I traced it backwards. So, I mean, that's not to say that it couldn't go the other way, but I don't know. I created it to be this way, so this is just a scrap of paper. So I have redone it. I've got my dimensions. I've actually taken a piece of soft suede and already done my scoring. 6 by 10.5, and you score it at 1/2 inch, 6 inches, 5.5 inches, and 1 inch, because you're going backwards, right? And then you turn it and you're scoring at 5 and 5.5 inches and cutting it at 6. So this is all ready. All we have to do is cut this. Now I should show you, because this is my third take of this video, I feel like I've already shown you, but alas, I have not. The reason that there is this little tab is because every time I've seen one of these, as cute as they are, they have an open bottom, and I wanted a closed one so that you don't have to worry about it falling out, for one. But also, every one I've seen has been like this, where it's a ribbon slide. And while that's cute, I wanted a closed bottom, so that's what this tab is for. So we can pull in our stamping trimmer, and instead of fussy cutting that by hand, we can just line it up and trim. It can be hard to tell, but just go until you feel that little bit of resistance from where you've already cut. And I am just going to take this tiny little bit out. You don't want to notch it, because then you will be able to see into the bottom of your box. Not the end of the world, but I did try that on one and it didn't look as good. So while we have this out, I might as well mention, it is now, we know that it will be available to customers on November 1st. So if you would like to get your hands on this, then you can do so on November 1st. Now this is, I said, 10.5. So let's cut our crossways first. So this is 3.5. By 10.5. And then this is why I didn't show you the score points, because I'm already going to be doing that on here. So let's score it 1/2 inch. I've got my template underneath. We're going to score it 6, 5.5, and then at 1. That doesn't seem right. I think this needs to be 10. Yeah, that's not right. That should be 1/2 inch. Okay, now what we want to do is take our score line, and I had so many in here now. I'm going to take that score line and just trim it down. And then to get the back the same, I'm just going to turn this around, line it up, and there we go. And then we want to do that same score line, or that same look, on just the front. So we're going to line up that score. Just take that little triangle out. And now the next thing we want to do is have it so that these two are similar. Similar cut. And I like to go down this time, just so that it stays beneath the other one. So we are done with our trimmer. going to bring in the trio punch and just round this corner. And if you're going to do any stamping, you would do it at this point. I am not going to. I am going to use some tear and tape. Just kind of square that up. Lay that piece down. And then we can use tear and tape on here as well, or liquid adhesive. It's totally up to you. I would not recommend snail. This is a box and you want it to stay together. If there's any hanging over, just push it back. There we go. Okay, so now we can take our DSP, and what I like to do is just add some Tombow in the middle here. Line it up, wrap it on there. And then we're going to do the same here. So just hold it there for a moment. And there we go. May not be the same angle there, but it's close. So now comes a little bit of fun. We are going to take the third largest of the scalloped layering circles and the second largest of the stitch dies, and we are going to cut one in, let's say, basic black and one in chrome cake or Sahara sand. Okay, so we can glue these two together. And I've learned with this project that you don't want to do tone on tone because it will just get lost in there. Okay, so I am doing an orange mug on this. I'm thinking I'm going to bring in the little jack-o'-lantern face from Harvest Hellos and make a jack-o'-lantern on there, but we have a couple of things to do. It's kind of some punch art. So I just have a little scrap of crumb cake here. I'm going to cut like a 1/4 inch. We're making our spoon. And you can use whatever punch you have, but I happen to have the small ornament punch. This is awkward. I'm just going to round that end so it kind of looks like the end of a spoon. We've got that in there, and now I am going to show you a super fun technique that I just did today for the first time, and let me tell you, I'm going to be doing it again for sure. So this time I'm going to use some early espresso. Going to bring in some early espresso re-anchor, a palette knife, and my embossing paste. So you don't need a lot. It's actually probably way more than we need. Just spread it on there. Close up your embossing paste. You do not want to leave this sitting out. It will dry out faster than, I don't know what, but fast. Okay, and then we're going to add a drop of our re-inker. And then just work it in. And then scrape it up. Wipe it off. This is just a baby wipe. I'm just gonna try to dry this. I'm gonna spread it out on here, kind of like it's frosting, but not too thick. Are you ready for some magic? So this is another thing you want to wipe off quickly. I've got layer upon layer of embossing paste on there. Now what you're going to do is heat up your heat tool on high. So you're just drying it, and it changes the color just a little bit, but no biggie. And then what I'm going to do, wipe this again. And then I'm going to take that same small ornament punch and I have to try and get in there. I'm trying to think of how I did this the first time. So just get in there and punch some. And you may come up with a better tip than I have, but for the first cake, this was it. And then you can leave that little bump on there, or you can round it off a little bit. And then you've got a cake that actually looks like a cake. Let's take all this off. So we're gonna glue that down. Put our little spoon in, but before we do any of that, let's stamp our jack-o'-lantern on here. And I try and keep it where I'm not using too many sets, but this was just so much fun that I couldn't resist. Harvest hellos. I do not have my stickers on these. Just using some memento. Let's stamp this on there. You can close up your memento. And then just take a Stampin' Write marker. Okay, and then as a final step with our pumpkin, let's add a little bit of shading. Not perfect, but adds a little something to that mug so it's not just flat. So this is the light pumpkin pie. There we go. A little bit of texture. Okay, so first I want to put down my cake. And when I did this earlier, I did do it on Whisper White, so you don't need to do that tone on tone. I just happen to have a piece of early espresso sitting there. I can cut this spoon even more and just get some glue on the back. You could also pop this up on a dimensional. And speaking of dimensionals, let's pop our mug up. Okay, so now we are ready to put that on there. I can see that dimensional, so I'm just gonna push it in there, tuck it in. Put our cake in here. The only thing I wish is that you could see what was in there, but that's a small issue, right? Oh, the other thing I want to do, if I haven't done it already, there may not be room, is just to put a little bit of adhesive down here so that that frosting doesn't come out. And then the last step, we're going to put another one of these Enjoy tags. Like I said, I've used a few sets for this. Spooktacular Bash DSP and the Ornate Frames dies. The Cup of Christmas, I used the Ornament Punch, Stitched and Scalloped Circles. What else? And then the Enjoy is also from Cup of Christmas. We'll just stamp that in soft suede. And then the final step is just to add a little bit of linen trim to that tag and mount it on a dimensional, and we's be done. So you just need like a 2-inch piece or so. Not even. We'll just loop it through. And in case you're wondering why I chose this color, it's just to bring out some of the crushed curry and the DSP. Okay, so give those a trim, and I like to do them on an angle so that one is longer than the other. We're going to add a bit of glue to one side and a dimensional to the other end, not side. And there we go. Probably don't have a lot of that glue touching, but I don't want it to hide our little pumpkin face. So let's get a glue dot. There we go. Cute. So we tuck our frosting in there. And there we go. So I hope that you enjoyed that video, and I hope that if you haven't yet subscribed, you will consider hitting that big subscribe button below. I drop a new video each and every week. I actually do 2 videos, one basically product of the week on Mondays, and then my creating for Christmas on Fridays. And you can catch me on Facebook Live on Wednesday evenings. So lots of videos for you. So those are the 3 mug cakes that I've made using my template. And like I said, I will put this on my website so that if you're wanting to make one of these, you will have all the measurements. And if you do make one of them, I would love to see how it turns out. So you can tag me on Facebook or Instagram, or just send me a picture via Messenger or email. So StampedAF on Facebook, Instagram, stampedaf@gmail.com for email. So I thank you so much for watching, my friends, and we will see you again soon. Bye.